essentially the greatest gift that you can give to the world is you and your individuality. And it's also the greatest gift you can give to yourself. And that individuality shows up in making things your own. And so, as I said, this business model that I'll share with you is a foundation to get you going. But what's really going to kind of have you take off is when you make things your own, and perhaps take inspiration from others and tweak things to better suit yourself. So anyway, with that introduction given, I want to share how, as I said, most coaches model their business. And there's really kind of three parts, I would say. But it's centered for me around a one-to-one coaching practice. And that I really believe is at the heart of this work. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean it's the most profitable. It's definitely not scalable. But in terms of sitting down face to face and working with somebody one-to-one and helping them build a tailored solution for them. That's, I think, when you really challenge yourself, and that's when you really, really work so well with others. So, as I said, there's a center point in terms of one-to-one coaching. Now, that's all well and good, but how do you get those one-to-one clients? I'm a big believer in these kind of introductory, topic-specific, lead generating workshops. So what they are is essentially opportunities for you to talk into a core topic in your area. So let's say, for example's sake, you niche down into the relationship coaching space. Well, you might do a workshop on breakups, or you might do a workshop on deepening your connection. If you're a confidence coach, you might do a workshop, for example, sake, on public speaking. Or if you are a wellness coach, you might do a topic on burnout, for example's sake. So that's what I mean by topic-specific workshops. And the idea is that they very specifically engage with a core area of interest within your field of expertise. And we frame these workshops in perhaps an hour to 90 minutes. And the real aim of them is to suck people in by going for a very specific topic, allow you to really show off your expertise, because if you zone in on one topic, you can really wholly and totally engage with that and give people a really kind of comprehensive offering in say 60 or 90 minutes. But the real aim of those workshops is to, as I said, introduce people to you, show off your expertise, and interest them in engaging with you. And my first port of call will be to engage with you on a one-to-one basis. So the workshops are something that we will visit in more depth in time. But for now, as I said, I just wanted to give that kind of that broad overview. And you'd be familiar, I'm sure, if you're studying this space and you're following a career in this, you've come in contact with many of these workshops out there. And again, to note, the real core aim of them is to market yourself, highlight your expertise, reach and engage an audience, and ultimately interest them in engaging with you one-to-one. So you would pick your topic really delicately. You would take time to really build out your workshop so that it brings people in, it highlights your knowledge and expertise in the space, it delivers value to them, and really interests them and wants them and leaves them wanting to engage with you more. And that more is your one-to-one offering. Now, to move that forward, so that's like the first part, and I said there's three. So that's one into two, and two is, as I said, what things are centered around, which is your one-to-one coaching practice. And for many, they might have a specific introductory offer for new clients. And that might be, let's say, for example's sake, 4 months one-to-one coaching where we do a session every 2 weeks over those 4 months. So 8 sessions in total, with support then as necessary in between over email. And that could be the coach's introductory offer. And that's, that takes many different forms, how one wishes to stack that. And again, this is something that I'm going to be going into in greater depth with you. But I wanted to kind of really zone in on this note of, first off, the introductory lead generating workshop, which introduces and creates leads for your one-to-one practice, which in that first instance is an introductory offer. And what I'm all about is never doing just once-off one-to-one sessions, but really hooking people in and also backing it up with support. And the reason being is it's the same energy to sell somebody for 8 sessions as it is for one. And with the support and with the prolonged period, it heightens the value. And so it allows coaches to charge more. If you think, for example's sake, let's say one session is €100 or dollars, but 8 sessions over 4 months with support in between, well, let's say that in itself is just $1,000. Well, straight away that's an extra $25 per session. There is support in between, but it's a much more valuable sale. And oftentimes it's not just an increase of 25%, it might be a 2-fold or 3-fold or 4-fold increase. People really value the idea of committing themselves to not just one session, but to a package of sessions and a duration of support to tackle an issue or whatever it is that they're coming to you for coaching. Now, we'll get into capacity in time as well. This is obviously opening up a number of subjects that we're going to be talking about. But if you think of the idea of doing one-to-one sessions, well, there's only so many hours in the day and only so much time that you have to offer. So at a certain point, you reach capacity in terms of the number of clients you take. And that kind of leads me to this bridge between the second and third part, which is a waiting list. The ideal pursuit for coaches is to build a waiting list, as far as I believe from really studying the space. And just to give some background, I'm a business coach, consultant, and I actually really enjoy studying business models. It's a passion for me. I love seeing how people make money, how they do it, how they reach the audience they do, deliver the impact that they do, and make the money that they do, and what makes the difference in terms of exaggerating the performance, let's say, or propelling the performance. Sounds a bit better. So for me, at a certain point in doing the work, the coach reaches capacity and they build a waiting list. And for me, a waiting list is so important, because at a certain point when somebody wants to work with you and you say, look, I'm sorry, I don't have capacity right now, but I'd love to put you on my waiting list. And looking at my calendar, I can see that I do have capacity to take somebody new in 2 months' time. How does that feel for you? Well, for clients, it suddenly realizes that you're not readily available and that you are of almost higher value in that instance. And for yourself to know that you aren't just working session to session in terms of money, but you're actually, you're pre-booked a month in advance, 2 months in advance, 3 months in advance. Once you have that kind of financial income certainty, you will feel totally different. You will operate totally different, and that reflects itself in your practice. You will show up as a better coach when you are financially secure. Fact. You will show up as a better coach in your clients, for your clients, when you know that there is a waiting list of people waiting to take their place. And you will also be much more assertive with your clients. You won't take as much shit when you have a waiting list of clients waiting to take their place. So for me, a waiting list is an enormously important part of the business model. Now, there's a kind of a nice thing I want to touch into here, and it's slightly early for this, but I think it's important to note that when you are on a waiting list and you are hoping to get in, the fact of the matter is that you can be a little bit more choice and select with your pricing. The fact of the matter is you have all the clients you need and you have a waiting list of clients that want you. Your confidence is going to build. As I said, it's going to reflect in your coaching, so it's going to reflect in your performance. And a waiting list gives you a great opportunity to put your price up a little bit, because you have a captive audience waiting to work with you. And so as you have a waiting list, you might say to the next people joining that waiting list, look, actually my price is, and you might increase your price by 20%. If they're happy, great, they're on the waiting list at that price. If they're not, well, It wasn't right for them, but you've still got people on your waiting list regardless. So a waiting list gives you a great opportunity to trial and experiment and really build your confidence. At a certain point, you might find that your business model is working so well that you actually have a sizable amount of people on your waiting list. And you might have noticed a pattern in your practice. And that's why the previous work was so important in terms of knowing, one, who you work best with, and two, the work that you work best with. And that really helps focus the work that you're doing for clients. And so if you have a waiting list of clients, a sizable waiting list, all coming to you with, relatively speaking, the same problem, here's where things get, I suppose, quite exciting. Let's say for example's sake, your one-to-one coaching program, the introductory program, is $1,000. And it is for those 4 months, with a session every 2 weeks. And you have 20 people on your waiting list. And you say to them, look, I still have about 2 months of a waiting list, but what I am doing now is I'm open to taking a group, and we're going to focus in on the key topics that have come up for me over my coaching work one-to-one. And instead of charging 1,000 quid, I'm going to charge 500 quid. And I'm going to cap it at 10 people. Well, the fact of the matter is, 10 people, 500, it's 5,000. It's 5 times your one-to-one price. You're working with 10 people. It's pretty time efficient, pretty profitable. It's working obviously on the same time constraints. And this is our third part of the business model, group coaching. And there is a time, a lot of people now are launching with group coaching because it can be very profitable. But the fact of the matter is, if it's not built on experience, if you haven't done the pre-work first, oftentimes those group programs fall in on themselves, as in they don't do the work they should. But if you time it right, as in you do the work with the lead generating workshop, you build your coaching practice, you build your waiting list, you build your own confidence, your own experience, and you come in with an offering that you know caters to those that are looking to work with you, it can be a fantastically good growth opportunity for you, where in a very time efficient fashion, you can do some seriously profitable work that does some seriously effective work for that group. And there's very strong differences between the one-to-one approach and the group coaching approach. And it really, it has to actually be experienced to wholly and totally appreciate it. But the fact is that when you're with a group and different members in the group are asking questions that you didn't think of, are sharing experiences that perhaps you might not have felt, you get to actually learn from a whole load of different angles. They say we learn through experience, and so the idea of groups is that we can learn through a collective experience and really accelerate our outcomes out of it. So now there is a lot to learn about hosting a successful group coaching program. But what I wanted to do, as I said, is give that introduction in terms of the workshop, to the one-to-one practice, to the group coaching program. And that model in itself can scale quite considerably. People might do free workshops initially and then start charging quite a premium. People might start their one-to-one programs at, let's say, the $1,000, and that could scale to $10,000 or $20,000. And the group coaching program could start at $500. The next time around it could be $1,000. Next time around it could be $2,500. Next time around it could be $5,000. It's all demand and value. That demand is obviously dictated by the value you're, one, giving off in terms of how you communicate and present yourself and market yourself, but two, the delivery in terms of the value you give to your audience and those that engage with you, and the word of mouth that they spread about how good your course is and how people need to do it. They say nothing sells better than a personal endorsement. So not you, but other people talking about your work. And that's really when you do get to increase your pricing, because people are coming off the back of existing recommendations. So I'm conscious this is a longer session than our prior ones. But as I said, I wanted to give a really good broad understanding of the business model for coaches. And from here, we'll get stuck into it that little bit more and give you a really kind of comprehensive understanding of what works best for you and how to tailor yourself in this field. But it's really exciting. I actually love getting to share this with you because, as I said, I sat down with so many different coaches. I really analysed their business model, and this was the structure that just worked for so many people and worked so well. And I'm sure as you're listening to me over and over in these lectures, you're seeing that I love this kind of idea of a domino effect, where you do one thing, it makes the next thing easier, which makes the next thing easier. And there's this really nice, let's say, science of timing, essentially. So that's it for now. I hope you grasped everything that we covered in this. And if there's, what I would recommend, to be honest, is actually I'd love you to perhaps watch this again, because I kind of think once you have your head around it, you will hear things a little bit differently and perhaps that little bit more developed as you rewatch it. But I really just would like you to sit on this and to think, what might it look like for you? What might be that workshop that you feel, is in a particular state of interest, answers a particular problem, and allows you to demonstrate or share your value. Perhaps think about your one-to-one practice. What might it be? Would it be 3 months? Would it be 4 months? 5 months? What price will it be? And think about the group coaching program, how exciting that might be to work with a group.